Hey, I got a question for you. Are you an active B2B consultant? Are you an experienced professional who is looking to start into the consulting industry? Or are you a student wondering whether or not starting a career in consulting is worth it? If yes to any of those questions, you are a great fit to have a 15 minutes free coaching call with me. And during that call, we will be looking at your career and life goals, as well as your current and past experiences. And we will also be able to figure out whether or not we can together build a roadmap towards building your desired career with your desired lifestyle. So don't hesitate to get in touch with me at consultinglifestyle.fm/coaching. COACHING. Consultinglifestyle.fm/coaching. Now, let's go and listen to the episode. Hello and welcome to the Consulting Lifestyle Podcast to Joshua Berry. Joshua, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Diogene. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for coming on and accepting the invitation. Because I think you do have very interesting perspectives to provide to the audience. But let's start by having you, Joshua, sharing the highlights of your career story.
Absolutely. Uh, I went to school for international business and Spanish. Spent the first 10 years working for a mid-sized consulting company, and that took me
Mhm.
around the world to about 30 different countries, helping organizations think about who they were hiring, selecting, developing, and how that impacted their culture and business results. I then went out on my own and tried my hand at a couple of startups. Eventually, was doing consulting work on my own, and now I'm in this third stage of consulting life now, I guess, where I have a company with several consultants that are part of our team, and that is called Econic, and we are helping organizations today with strategy, innovation, and culture consulting and training work.
Okay, that's very interesting. So you're already at third stage, but you also have a
I don't
three.
know if it's a stage or an evolution or anything, but
Yeah.
I've definitely experienced working for someone, being on my own, and now working with a team of
Hmm.
consultants.
Hmm.
So
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, as you said, strategy, innovation, and culture. I believe that that's all three interesting topics. And you said Econic is the name of the company. So did you? So you were alone. Did you create it with someone, and why the name? Is there a story behind it, or?
there is a little bit. So I was out on my own
Yeah.
for a couple of years, and then co-founded Econic with another person, a 50-50 partnership at the beginning. The company that I was running was called Smart Matter. He had the domain and registered name of Econic, and Econic just sounded better than Smart Matter. And so we went with Econic. And a couple of years after that, we parted ways, and I bought him out of the company. And so he's no longer a part of it, but Econic has
Mhm.
remained. And so we've been in business. We officially founded Econic in December of 2015.
Okay, okay. So about a bit less than 8 years ago, and while you were doing before that, so while you were doing consulting on your own, were you already doing strategy, innovation, and culture, or were you offering other services?
Yeah, that's hard. As I'm sure a lot of your audience knows, at the very beginning, it's really about finding what people need and just doing that. And so I think those first few years, I helped recruit for a director of sales. I think I helped build a leadership development program. I served as an advisor for some startups. We had 4 kids at that time. And so when you're out on your own, I think a lot of times it is the best approach to consulting out of the gate is finding someone you enjoy working with, finding a need that they have, and somehow convincing them to pay you to help them solve that need. Right?
Yeah, that's excellent. Even though you spoke naturally about it, not many people start the way you were thinking, saying finding someone or a company you enjoy working with. A lot of people just do they just take whatever whoever accepts whether it is enjoyable or not. So I think that's an important aspect. I assume with Econic you also work with organizations you enjoy working with, and is there is there a certain industry type size that you work particularly with, or?
Sure. So we work with all sizes of organizations,
Mhm,
everything from Procter and Gamble, John Deere, U.S. Bank, very large organizations, down to smaller ones with 50 to 100 people. But I'd say our sweet spot is we say about 100 million to 1 to 2 billion in top line annual revenue.
mhm,
So the kind of middle market companies. And back to your point about type of industry, it actually goes back to the point you made just a second ago, which is it's more about the type of people that we're working
mm,
with than it is the industry. So right now we have very active manufacturing clients, financial services, a couple of engineering firms, healthcare. It's a variety of different industries. But the common thread is great growth minded clients or leaders on the other
mhm.
side that we just enjoy working with and can find mutual projects to work on and help them with.
Oh, that's okay. That's interesting. And um, talking about your culture, the service that you provide in terms of culture, um, and maybe there is a world that was pre-pandemic and a world that is post-pandemic where there is way more remote work. So how has it evolved for organizations that you help, that challenge of trying to build and sustain a culture?
Yeah, you're right. It has shifted and changed quite a bit. A lot of our approach to working with companies is to help them identify projects that not only improve the business, but improve the people underneath of those projects. So, an example is working with a utility company who was trying to figure out exactly that. How do we do remote work yet still keep a collegial culture where people are learning from each other? Where we're different from other consultants is we don't come in and say, we know all the answers, now go do these things that we told you to do. What we do is we help spin up teams and help them think through what's the problem that we're trying to solve. What are some experiments we could run? So in this case, this team decided to run some experiments around virtual workers still establishing culture. They came up with an experiment called the virtual water cooler. uh, but but our whole role is to help them identify work problems, but then create space to practice curiosity and experimentation and learning and all of those things to be able to figure out how to adapt themselves as they work through it. And so that, to your point, has applied really well during the pandemic and now the stage that we're moving in now, because organizations need to be even more intentional about how they're choosing to work and how they're engaging with the people that are part of their companies going forward.
Yeah, yeah, great, great point. Another thing that you are doing with Iconic is that you're a certified B Corp company. Uh, can you, yeah, explain what it is and yeah, how it impacts what you do?
Sure. The certified B Corp movement has been around for now over a decade, and it's really an acknowledgement and a rigorous assessment to look at all aspects of a business to understand how they are looking out for all the stakeholders, right, that are involved in a business. And so, uh, you know, when Econic 3 years ago decided to pursue this accreditation, we had to seriously take a look and say, how is our work impacting the environment? How are we taking care of our employees? How are we taking care of customers? How are we thinking about um, our impact in a multi stakeholder sort of way? And so you see other pillars like this conscious capitalism, justice, entrepreneurship, 1% for the planet, right? You see, there's a whole bevy of different frameworks and
Mhm.
approaches that people are taking right now that I think the common thread through all of this is how can we use business to further good and think about the long game that we're playing here. And so, yeah, the B Corp movement of which we're a part is I think just one of those markers that are out there that shows that we adhere to this, and we're trying to continue to improve ourselves in those ways.
Okay, but you're also pretty public and proactive about it because you publish an impact report on your website. We don't. I think it's the first time I saw that for a consulting company.
Yeah, yeah. If you go to our website, yep, you'll see how many new clients we brought on board, what our client retention rates are, how much money we gave away for
Yes.
philanthropy. You'll see. I actually wrote in the letter, and then the team put together in the report some of the things we tried and some of the things that we failed at, even this last
Mhm.
year, in terms of ways of working that we were trying to evolve. So yeah, we try to be conscientious about the impact that we're having, and use transparency in those things to put it out to the world so that hopefully other people can learn from those things too.
Yeah, that's unique. Usually, consulting and consultants are not. They are not really keen on sharing numbers. Let's say.
It
So
is about projecting, right? How much larger you are, and I was there too, right? Like
yeah.
I remember uh, right when I started at the beginning, I couldn't wait to put other people's faces on the website. I even
Mhm.
remember a couple of times where I was working with a contractor, and I would say, "Could I just put your face on my website too, so it looks like I'm larger than I actually am?" Um, and and after a while, it was really about letting go of my ego and some of that, and realizing that the best people that I ended up working with honestly didn't care as much about
Yeah.
how big we were, how small we were. It was really in the quality of the work that we were doing together, and it was probably my ego that was getting in the way of those other things.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's great. That's great. And there is also something interesting with regards to your company. I saw that there is a person that is a entrepreneur in residence.
Hmm.
Well, yeah? What does that mean?
Well, for some of our clients, we are helping them with their innovation strategy and innovation program design. And what that sometimes looks like is building an innovation lab or helping them connect to startups to help them with their corporate innovation efforts, et cetera. And so, uh, Colin on our team, who you're referencing, actually serves, as well as a couple of other people do, but in a more limited capacity. Colin's the best example of it, where he is serving and building an idea within one of our clients and helping them test and refine this idea, so that the organization can either start to staff it themselves or spin it out into something different. So there's a couple of other organizations too where we're not only doing the coaching, but we're actually a part of some of those teams so that they can learn alongside us how to maybe bring in some more of that entrepreneurial mindset and behavior shift.
Okay, that's very interesting. And now, if we go more on, let's say you are writing a book, uh, like dare to be naive.
Hmm.
So do you still consider yourself naive, or you are talking to other people?
Absolutely, Diogene.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see myself as very naive.
Mhm.
And again, you speak French. One of the things that is fascinating to me is that word naive is not well understood, I think, in English. I think we
Mhm.
understand and we use it in a certain way, which a lot of times people use it in a way that means more ignorant. And
Mhm.
yet, the root word, when we borrowed it from the French, and that was borrowed from Latin before that, it really came from a root word that meant that was nativus or native or innate or that thing which was already inside of you. And
Mhm.
so in that book, Dare to Be Naive, what I explore is how people are using business for good, and where some people might see that as naive in the more traditional sense. What I've seen, and through my research and through successful companies who are doing these things, I've seen is it's actually coming from a more authentic spot than people give
Mhm.
it credit for. It's actually probably something innate that is trying to emerge, but a lot of society tells us to like not do those things, right? Because it's not
Mhm.
the way to do business. And so I'm daring people to push beyond that.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good idea, good concept as well. The fact that it's innate in us. And is it something that you do, that you plan on doing in the future, meaning writing books, speaking, etc., having that kind of more personal brand, if I can say it like that?
We'll see. I know, again, this is a consulting podcast. That is a popular path that people take, is to go down
Yes.
that. I This book was not written to like get me out on the speaking tour or to like build a bunch of workshops around or anything. It was
Hmm.
really written because it it felt like it was inspired in me to put something out in the world in this way, and so I don't think it'll further my brand or anything like that at all. In
No, it's
fact,
not. Yeah.
it's really just for the next circle of people outside of us, and then we'll see what happens with it. Right there's That's probably one of the big things I've learned through these consulting paths that I've had. Is I used to put out like this goal of I needed to be this, or we needed to have this much revenue, or I needed this much. We
Hmm.
don't do that. I don't do that anymore. I focus a lot more now on what is emerging and what are my intentions and how do we work in certain ways, and then let's see how the outcomes
Let's
play
see.
out. Right,
Yeah.
it's a lot looser about where the outcomes go. So to your question earlier, Dio, around who do we work with, we just try to work with great people that we enjoy
Hmm.
working with.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
when we hold that really loosely, I don't need to hold tightly to the next contract or project I have with them. I don't know if that makes sense, but there are
It
some clients
does.
we've worked with for years. And it's because every time I talk to them, it isn't about when's our next project and when's our next thing. It's truly looking out for their best interest and not ever wanting to do harm for them. And so there have been times with clients where they've brought a project to us and we've said it doesn't make sense right now, or I don't think that's the
Hmm.
right approach, or you can do it yourselves. uh, and so I share all of that to say, like, this sort of approach of how you do it is much less goal oriented, I think, than it used to
Hmm.
be, and it's much more intention and values based.
That's okay. No, you really give a great insight on that way of thinking. That's certainly one reason why you're doing culture advisory,
Yeah,
because you have a different perspective, a different way of doing it, and thinking about, okay, first, okay, is it really the type of person I would love to work with? Yes, regardless of what they are actually doing, and then let's see if there is something we could that could be mutually beneficial. So no, that's a great that's a great approach. Another thing, and I think you did mention that you have a family, you have four children, so of course you will the question of the work life balance, or how you would uh, balance being a father and then
yeah.
like a professional.
So it is difficult, and I have different answers depending upon which stage I was in. And so I would say when
Again,
I
there were
first got
three
started,
stages.
yeah, yeah, yeah. When I was working for a consulting company that had about 150 people, before we had kids, I was traveling 200 days a year, right? And that was difficult. Then when we started to have kids, it was really about how to be intentional about starting to pull some of that back. Um, Later, when we had kids and I was out on my own, it was very hard because it was about how do you do whatever projects you can so that you can bring payback to the family. Uh, One of the greatest lessons that I had during that time was being more intentional about the rates I was charging. I had a great advisor who was helping me see that I was very drastically underpricing myself. And so I
Hmm.
had a period of time where I had to really work through the confidence to say, I'm working so many hours. What would it look like if I worked half of that, but charged honestly about 3 times as much as what I was charging? Could that all work out? And what would I need to do to play that in? And so that helped with the balance of everything.
Hmm.
And then today, as our company continues to grow or we add team members to it, there's still that pull of that balance. But I would say it's managed even better by having great team members and finding. You had a recent episode, Dio, on Strengths Finder, and
Yeah.
thinking about the strengths that I possess and that give me energy and leaning into those things. I'm able to do that and realize there's a bunch of stuff I don't do very well. And so, how can I have team members that can complement me there? And that's
Yeah.
absolutely not only a strategy to help them hopefully feel more fulfilled and create opportunities for their growth, but also to create more of that balance, as you said,
Yeah.
to be able to focus on the areas where I have giftedness and not burn myself out on those other areas.
Yes, that's excellent. And I believe that we have gone through quite a lot of different topics. I would like to know one last thing. So for you, if I say consulting lifestyle, the name of the podcast, what does that mean to you, Joshua?
To me, it means being intentional, right? About what you want out of that lifestyle. I've talked to a lot of consultants who struggle between this idea of do they want to stay solo or do they want to add a team around it? And even that, if they were to add a team, how big do they want to be and whatnot? And especially going from solo to starting to add maybe an assistant or another team or creating a network or any of those are really, really important decisions to make, and they shift a lot of what you end up doing. So when I think consulting lifestyle, I think that one, you've given yourself a lot of choice to be able to make a lot of decisions, and therefore you owe it to yourself to be intentional about those choices that you make. Right? Just adding team members and not just staying as a solo consultant is a big decision, and sometimes I think uh, I wish people would have more respect or intentionality and not see like bigger is always better, right? But it is really about
Yeah.
first off, what lifestyle do I want? And then now, how do I design towards that?
Yeah, doing it for maybe the good reasons and place your ego at the right, put your ego at the right place, if I can say it like that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Those first few years when we had a team, I definitely made more money if that's what I was shooting for before I added team members, right? And there's sometimes fewer headaches. Yet there's all the benefit of having team and growth and seeing their growth and all of those. But those fire different things inside of you. At least they give different types of satisfaction in those ways.
Okay.
Being
Okay.
intentional.
Thanks. Yeah, being intentional. So thanks. That's a great answer. And the very last thing is, if people want to get in touch with you or Econic, where can they find you?
Yep, the best way would either be through the websites, which is Econic. That's ECONIC.co. It's just .co. As a consultant early on, that extra M was going to cost us $39,996. So we're econic.co. And the book website is daretobenaive.com. And then
Yes,
we're most active on LinkedIn if you want to catch any content from us.
that's excellent. So thanks very much, Joshua. I think it was a very enjoyable interview, and also you really gave different perspective on how to do consulting to the audience. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Diogene. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Consulting Lifestyle Podcast. If you have enjoyed the episode, leave a review on iTunes or one of your preferred podcasting platform. And if you want to further our relationship, please join our community. Our community is available at consultinglifestyle.fm/community. Looking forward to keep in touch with you.